Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. Today we're going to be talking politics. And believe me when I tell you that my spirit guides have been nattering on in my ear for a while about what I'm about to tell you. As a matter of fact, because I'm under union contract negotiations with my spirit guides right now, I said I'm going to have breakfast and coffee before I do this video because we demand equal rights or some kind of rights. I don't even know, but they've been nattering on to me about this subject. So we're going to talk about it while I drink my coffee. So here's the thing, you guys. The title of this video might be something like Corporate America Sells Out the United States to a Nazi Dictator. It might be something like that. I don't know. And you want to know what? It is true, but in the past tense. Okay, let me explain. So one of the big things that Susan, like I'm channeling this, right? So I'm 60% spirit guides, 40% Susan. Well, I don't walk around with 60% spirit guide in my brain because, it's just like having your mom or dad in your brain, or I don't know. It's just, sometimes you just need to live your human life and make all your mistakes your own. It's like being a 2-year old. I'm going to do it my way and I'm going to learn it the hard way, whatever. However, I was really distressed, I would say, halfway into 45's presidency when I realized that the corporate the corporate powers were not going to stop him. I really thought in my Susan, the glasses half full kind of way that the corporate powers would be like, "No, we're not doing this. We're not going to allow you to do this." One of the reasons is because remember when Trump would mention a stock in a kind of a off way, that stock would just topple. It would go down. This man had the whole stock market by the you know what's, and he could cause it to go up or down with his own statement. That was scary, you guys. That was really scary. And I thought, no, the corporate media, the corporations, the powerful corporations, they're never going to let this dingle nut wreck their stock. I mean, they've got more money than him. They're more powerful than him. He could be, voted out and they're still in power, right? Like, there's no way that's going to happen. But then it happened. The corporate powers literally got behind 45 in the sense that, well, he lowered their corporate tax by a significant amount of money and made them all billionaires times several. So that was a big persuading thing that happened. But also, he started gutting a lot of governmental agencies that regulate those corporations. Okay, so the corporations were like, this is like being in that phone booth with the money swirling around, and we just get to grab as much as we can, right? And they liked that. So they were like, hey, if we play nice to the monster dictator, we'll make more money than we could have made in 4 generations. And yeah, we're going to sell our soul to the devil. That's basically what they did. Okay. Now here we are. So that kind of blew my worldview to smithereens. And I thought we are in really a bad place. Now, that was when 45 was in office. Now, here we are with Biden having done 4 years in the presidential prison, right? It almost does sound like a some kind of sentence, right? It's a hard job. But here's what I want to tell you. This is big. This is really, really big. The corporate powers having raided the marketplace, having raided the American people and enriched themselves, literally engorged themselves, now find themselves in a place where, uh-oh, it's not working. Now, what's not working? Well, what's not working is that you cannot engorge and enrich yourself off the backs of humans. This is a lesson to anybody in the world, but you cannot do that forever because it turns out that if humans don't buy their products, if we lose faith, trust, integrity in their product, it's game over. They're finally realizing, oh, snap. You mean we can't just take advantage of these people and then expect them to be our customers forever? Oh, darn. Well, now they're backpedaling as fast as they can. They're talking about lowering prices. And some of this is Biden. Some of this is really Biden went after them for the last 18 months, the spirit guides are saying. Biden went after them and said, this isn't inflation. This is greedflation. This is you guys taking advantage of citizens. And I'm not going to have it. And you're going to have some warnings here. And then I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that people know you're the reason why this is happening and not me and not my administration. And I have a bully pulpit and I have a source of, using the media. And I'll make sure that everybody gets the message. Okay. Well, he did. His message is a little watered down because his popularity is a little watered down because media is owned by the same corporations that are literally smash and grabbing the United States of America. Okay. But here we are. This is the thing I need you to understand. And I do want to say this because the guides won't let it slip past me. Whatever the title is of this video, I don't know yet, but whatever it is, it's probably scary. And I want you to understand something important, that you will click on scary titles before you will click on positive titles. Because as humans, we need to assess threats. So if I were to say, oh my God, a meteor is going to hit the earth in 1 year, or oh my God, California is going to have a 10.0 earthquake, or oh my God, corporate media is really going to support Trump and install him back as president, you would click on that because it feeds your set point of we are effed. This is a toxic landscape. I need to know about the threat coming to me. Okay, I just want to say, this is not that video, number one. And number two, if you guys would click on happier videos, you would actually raise the vibration of all of us, and then we wouldn't be putting up with Trump. My Way Out Wednesdays, my Wisdom on Wednesday videos basically like teach you how to be happier than ever in your entire life. And like 10,000 of you watch it. But if I put a video up that says Trump is going to be president, I promise you 100,000 people would watch it. You guys, we have to take control of our own energy and our own vibration if we want to change the environment around us. Okay? So that's your PSA, that's your public service announcement. Let's talk about why these corporate people have gone too far and why they're going to pay the ultimate price and what it means to you. Because it means something for you. Because, if they got to learn a lesson, usually we got to learn a lesson with them. It's symbiotic, the guides are saying. We're all connected. They produce our food, they produce our products. If they go down, we go down. They learn the lesson, we learn the lesson. Okay. Now, it's sometimes you just have to learn the lesson. So here's the lesson. The lesson is when 45 was in office, it was a smash and grab. It's the guides kept telling me it's like if when you were a kid, if you were allowed to just eat sweets and candy for the whole weekend, like starting on Friday after school, you want donuts, pancakes, you want candy, you want whatever it is, anything sweet. You can eat that all the way to Monday morning. No holds barred. Smash and grab the candy closet. Do your best, right? Well, by Monday, you're sick. You hate life. You're probably rolling around on the floor, holding your belly and screaming if you haven't already been to the ER. So, what happened? Your parents gave you free reign. There was no checks, there was no balances. And you, being a child, don't know how to put checks and balances on yourself. You've not experienced going too far, like going too fast on the bike and crashing, or, whatever it is that you exceed your limitations and you learn the lesson because you've got a bloody nose or, you're in the ER. So this is what happened. Trump said, here's the door. Raid all you want. Just remember that I'm your king. Just remember that I can close the door. Raid everything. No regulations. We'll look the other way. I'll even pardon you. Hey, if you get If you get in trouble, don't worry, I got your back. I'll pardon you. But you just remember that I control the power. So you need to be beholden to me. So what we saw was all corporate, including the media, get behind Trump. They literally got behind him. And then they stayed behind him even after Biden won. But why did Biden win? Because the people voted Biden in. This is the ultimate lesson here. These corporations realize even if they get Trump, this is an important thing, even if they get Trump back in, which they're not, but even if they did, they realize, oh, we got a problem here because if our windows break open in the airplane or the door plug falls out or our cars break down on the side of the road or our food starts making everybody sick, these people that we need to buy our products, they're not going to buy our products. And the funny thing about people in general, humans in general, they have a really long trust, kind of like this trust factor, the guides are saying. Oh, it's long. They'll put up with a lot of shenanigans and malarkey. They'll let you break their trust until all of a sudden it's like something snaps and they go, no, not only do I not trust you, I'm never going to trust you. I'm never going to trust you. You're going to have to build your trust back up to me one tiny little step at a time. And that could take years. Okay. So what the guides had said, I don't know where I said it. I said it on either somebody's collaboration or my video, that consumers are like a school of fish. And if you've ever seen a school of fish, a video, they're all balled up together. That's buying power. You're in that school of fish, you're good, you're gravy. They all want what you got. You're in the energy of abundance. However, something happens to spook that school of fish. Boom. They literally dart and disappear. And your little hook is dangling down there in no man's land. There are no fish. All of a sudden, nobody wants your product. This is what's about to happen. The people that were buying the products at this kind of, well, the guides are saying unsupported rate, are now getting tired of buying the products. So what we had was a hot economy in the sense that some people had money. I know a lot of you don't have money. I get it. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that have a lot of money because guess what? People were continuing to buy these cars at insane prices. People were continuing to buy houses at insane prices. People were continuing to rent at insane prices. And doing that didn't seem to affect the GDP. It didn't seem to affect the economy. In other words, my money didn't all go to my new rent and then keep me from buying the car. Somehow I was buying the car, renting the house, renting the apartment. I was going on vacations. The economy was too hot. People had money and they were spending it. And everything works on supply and demand, just like the school of fish. The supply was big, the demand was big, then it was gone. Okay. While everybody was buying like they didn't have no sense, well, the corporate powers kept raising the prices because supply and demand. We had more demand than their supply, therefore, they rightly raised the prices. But now everything is going cold. I don't see Americans, and I really think this is a worldwide energy. So I don't see humans buying those luxurious vacations. I don't see them buying those new cars. I don't see them moving out of their house and buying a new one. I don't see them upgrading to a rental. I see more of a contraction of the economy. Now, some of that is because we don't trust these brands anymore because we're terrified to get in a plane. Teslas are running over people. Cars are breaking down. And why is all this happening? Why? Because Trump got in there and gutted the regulations and greed ran amok. We don't care about quality. We're just going to make this thing as fast as we can make it and sell it just as fast as we can make it. And if we can reduce the cost by reducing the quality, we're going to make more profit and it's all good. So what's happening right now is when 45 met with those CEOs that he recently met with, all of these big CEOs, he still had the power. He said, "Hey, let's meet." And they did. They all showed up like little, rats running through I want to say cheese, but honestly, I love cheese and that's not right. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. They showed up. Now, a lot of people are saying they showed up and they saw 45 be completely unhinged and not connected to reality. And I do believe that. I 100% believe that he was not connected to reality. And the man that they met with in private, in close quarters, one on one, was not the man that they last met with, perhaps in, his presidency. So that was a stark revelation to them. They realized this dude is nutted out, right? Like this guy's talking gibberish. However, I would present to you that they don't care. Do you think they really care? All they want is a puppet that they can pull the strings on. They don't care if he talks gibberish. If he won the presidency and they could control him and he could continue further gutting the regulations, gutting consumer anything, respect, raising their profits, they would sign up for that deal. They would totally sign up for that deal. So, in that way, the corporate powers, being the media and also the corporate brands, could want to install 45 and then continue their smash and grab of our economy and of our country. But they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Maybe there's a couple of them, titans of industry, is what the spirit guides just told me. And I really keep seeing Jamie Dimon, who owns Chase Bank. A few of them, yeah, a few of them really, really don't care about future profits. I mean, in some ways, right? They've made enough profit for 10 generations, right? Like, can't they just check out and get their second most wanted thing, which is to be king, to have this feudal system in America where, um, you know, white men control everything? Yeah, I think some titans of industry want that. That's their end game. However, not enough. We're talking 3 or 4 people of that, whatever it was, 60, whatever people, whatever CEOs were there, 3 of them are ready to go full blown sort of king, oligarchy, feudal, whatever. The rest of them are not ready to do that. And here's why. Here's why. There's too many products, so if Americans, and I feel like this is mostly Americans, because honestly Europe is and Canada has done a really good job of regulating these things. They really have, and they didn't have a Trump to deregulate everything. So now I'm going to talk specifically about the United States of America. Citizens are going to stop flying on planes. They're going to stop taking vacations. They're going to get freaked out. Something is going to spook them, and if they get spooked, you're going to see the contraction. And that's where we're all going to learn a lesson, right? And these corporate powers, their profits are generated by us. We are the GDP, right? We are the product. Our spending is the product. Maybe in the 50s, the product was we exported things, we made things, and we sold things. But now it's simply, do Americans go to Walmart? That's the indicator of our economy. Do the Americans spend money? That's it. If we stop spending money, the whole thing crashes and burns. And we're going to stop spending money because there's going to be some threats, like 3, 4 threats. One, I've talked about a lot. It hasn't quite manifested yet, but I see something with the meat. You know, right now, chickens have the bird flu, and there's going to be a lot less chickens. But I see something with meat, meaning a reduction in the production of meat because of unsafe, like a possibility of some kind of outbreak of something that, you remember when people were getting sick from ice cream, right? Remember when people getting sick of like lettuce? That's because there's no regulation. Now Biden is trying to put the regulation back in place. But so it could be meat, it could be transportation. What are we seeing also? How many boats are running into bridges? Seriously, it's not just one, it's been many. How many how many train accidents? We keep seeing these infrastructure problems because they cut quality, they cut corners. And now there's a new report out about Boeing, another new report about Boeing, where it turns out, and this is by one of the major news agencies, so that's a problem because they don't ever report on their own selves. But it turns out that Boeing may have used substandard or even fake materials in their planes. Substandard or fake materials in their planes. Okay, so where we are is that all these titans of industry, all these big powers that be, have been able to eat all the candy they want. Now they're sick. They've been able to take all the money they want, and now they're sick. Not all of them, not the Elon Musk out there, not the Jamie Dimons, but a lot of them. And they realize, oh, snap, we need balance. Back to that balance. The spirit guides have been talking about balance for months. We need balance. Capitalism, run amok, doesn't support itself. It really doesn't. The free market needs guardrails. It cannot police itself. It will not police itself. The best situation is when there's guardrails to protect the citizens. Who's going to protect the citizens? Who's going to make sure that we don't get sick from our food or sick from the air or sick from the water or in a terribly made transportation device like a plane or a car? Do we think profit is going to protect us? No, it's not. That's why we need the government. So in this situation, these corporate titans are saying, okay, we want to go back to the land of, say, Reagan, where there was some regulation, not a lot, the bare minimum to be sure, the bare minimum, because we need to keep the consumer confidence high. Now they're wrong because that amount of regulation, of deregulation, Reagan was the deregulator, it didn't work. That's how we got here. The only reason why consumer confidence stayed high is because the spirit guides are saying for every Republican president, term, we had Democrat president terms that put the regulation back in force. You cannot allow kids to go to school without teachers and a principal. You've got to have the balance. You've got to have somebody to say that's too much. Just like they're showing me the justice scales are balancing. They're never going to be equal. We're never going to have equal justice. It's impossible. But we can have more balance. It means sometimes maybe it's going to be more liberal, sometimes it's more conservative, but it has to stay within a I can never think of that word, but anyway, a tolerance. Thank you. It has to stay within a tolerance. We can tolerate this much out of balance. We can tolerate this much out of balance. When it gets to be here, we can't tolerate it. Consumer confidence goes out the window, consumers stop buying things, and then you have a problem with your economy. Okay? Now, That's what is setting up right now. Those titans of industry that met Trump, that saw that he was, you know, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, whatever, they were like, okay, we have some things to consider here. First of all, this man cannot string together a sentence. Second of all, consumer confidence is slipping, and we're starting to get hammered on our products. We're getting pressure on our pricing. Number three, this Biden guy, he seems like somebody we can work with. I mean, he seems reasonable. It's not like we have Bernie Sanders in office or AOC in office, right? Or Elizabeth Warren, right? Like, we don't have a super pro citizen. We have a guy who's like, look, let's balance, right? We have a guy who's like, he says it himself. He's a capitalist, right? He's like, look, make a profit, but don't kill the citizen in the process, right? You need them. This is what I'm saying. Biden is such a good leader in the sense that he really has this wiseness from having been in office for a long time, but also just who he is. And he understands. He's a car guy. He loves cars. He's like, you got to give us a quality product because we're not going to buy your crap. Give us a quality product, charge good money for it, take care of your employees, give them union benefits, and everybody wins. But this is not going to be a situation where you get to smash and grab this country. Do you want to play with us? Because we'll play. Here's the parameters. You're going to get a nice profit. Your employees are going to get really well taken care of, and the citizens are going to get a nice product. Those three things can happen, can coexist. And that is what I'm requiring of you. If you'll get on board with me, I'll get on board with you. So I feel like these people that met with Trump, these power brokers, they're like, yeah, we're much better off with the Biden guy. Like, we're way better off with the Biden guy because we don't want to flip these buyers, the public that buys our product. We don't want to flip them so far that they are scared of us, that they don't like us, that they don't trust us. And I'm telling you, we are close. We are close to that. And what does that look like? Well, it looks a little bit like going back to the pandemic where people were making their own jelly and people were, growing their own tomatoes and people were not going on vacations. And guess what? People were real happy. So we've already had a preview of how to take care of ourselves without all the trimmings of capitalism. We know how to do it. We can go back to it. And I really feel like we're real close to some kind of snap happening and people going, you know what? I don't want luxury. I don't want that luxury car. I'm going to drive my 10-year-old car another 5 years. I'm going to stay in my house. Maybe I'm going to go out, and I swear this is what they're telling me right now. I'm going to go out to Home Depot or Lowe's, and I'm going to buy one of those, $30,000 or $40,000 kind of shed slash she shed, what we used to call them, right? They actually have them that you can live in. Now, you're going to have to put another 20 or 30,000 into it to put plumbing and all that stuff, and you have to get it approved by your community. But I'm here to tell you that people are going to make the decision to stay in their house and to be able to afford their house. They're going to rent out their backyard. Whereas before, they would say, you know what, I'm going to downsize to a condo or a townhome. Well, you can't do that right now because the interest rates are too high. The prices are insane. So instead, you got to stay in your current situation and rent out your basement or rent out your attic or put a tent in the backyard. That is contraction, not expansion, because you stayed in your place. And now that person that's living in your attic or your basement or in the backyard would have been renting an apartment somewhere. And now they've downsized to somebody's backyard in a 200 square foot tiny home. We can solve these problems differently than buying their products. That's the key here. So I would just say that there's a little bit of a warning here in the sense that the economy could contract over the next year. And that that's kind of a problem because prices cannot, because some prices are going to go down. Like I just saw a glut. I do you remember when, I don't know why they're talking about this. Do you remember when lumber was so high and nobody could afford to literally buy lumber? You couldn't buy it. It was too expensive. It was kind of right around the pandemic. And then there was a glut. Okay, so I feel like there's going to be a glut of certain products. And no one's going to buy them because they don't want them, because they don't like them. They decided they're against it. It's weird. It's like one minute they're all in, and the next minute they're gone. They just ghost it. They're like, no, I don't want that anymore. So this is where we are. And these corporate powers, they know what's going to happen before we do. They watch our buying tendencies. They have everything down to micrographics, is what the guides are saying. They see it before we see it. Believe me when I say they're tracking everything about us, everything. So they're already seeing this, and that's why they're going, oh, mea culpa, my bad. Let me reduce my prices. It's too late. I think it might be too late. Now, on the upside, and I'm telling you guys, I like Biden. I don't agree with everything he does. We're never going to agree 100% with anybody. Go look at your spouse. You agree 100% with your spouse? You know you don't. So we're not going to stop thinking that you have to agree 100% with Biden. If you agree with Biden as often as you do your spouse, then Biden's doing pretty good. Okay? But also, Biden has this magic that he does that I've witnessed. I mean, the guides told you guys we weren't going to go into a recession. Wall Street Journal and everybody else said we're going to go into a recession. I told you we weren't going to go into a recession because I saw Biden driving this out of control vehicle on a windy mountain road with no guardrail, hugging the mountain, going all the way down with no brakes. No brakes. He could have gone over the edge. He could have crashed. Somehow he got us to a soft landing. Yes, there's inflation, but it's a soft landing. We did not go into a recession. So I would say the upside is that Biden, I do see Biden doing this. And sometimes I think it's not in our best interest because Biden has this ability, like a parent, to save us from ourselves. He has this ability to say, no, that's not going to happen on my watch, right? If we experience the pain and suffering, we might learn the lesson more, but he's kind of helping us not learn the lesson. He's kind of helicopter parenting us, okay? So the other thing that can happen is that, again, just like I said a second ago, he goes to these titans of industry and he says, y'all hurting now? Y'all, I know your forecasters are saying y'all are about to have your butts handed to you. You ready to talk? You ready to talk? Because I'm ready to talk. You ready to talk? You know? And so the next meeting is going to be with Biden. And then we're going to have a real, they always call Biden a horse trader, probably because of his age. That's an older term, horse trading. He's a bipartisan guy. He goes across the aisle. He works things out. I feel like that could irritate some parts of the left of the Democratic Party, but Biden has to do what's best for everybody, not just the left wing, not just the right wing. He needs to pick a route down the middle because that's going to be the best for everybody. And he saved our butts, and I think he's going to do it again. I think that before we have a consumer crisis, a consumer confidence crisis, are the exact words the spirit guides are saying. And what that means is you're going to see that in a headline. I promise you, somewhere you're going to see that. There's been a consumer confidence of crisis, or whatever the words go in the right direction. Because the news likes to report horrible things. We already talked about that. How humans are tuned into bad scenarios, assess the threat. So I feel like Biden is going to get with these people and he's going to really create concessions, is what I just heard. He's going to get concessions out of them. You're going to see concessions around. I'm seeing that guy. I can't ever say his name. Is it Sean Fine? Isn't he the president of one of the biggest unions? I see him with that guy. I see, and that's another thing, right? Unionization is growing like it hasn't grown in decades. Starbucks is being unionized. Everything is being unionized. And I see Biden going to these corporations and saying, you're going to have to allow this unionization, and you're going to have to give me all these things that I want: better health care, better child care, better sick leave, better working conditions. And you're going to have to knock this stuff off about hiring kids. You're going to have to knock that off. We can do this the easy way or the hard way, because I'm about to have the House and the Senate, and we'll hand your butts right back to you. You need to really be working with me, because I can probably go back to the Democrats and get them on board with this. But if you don't, you're going to have no buyers. You're going to have no consumer confidence. You're going to have no profits. And then you're going to have the Democrats taking you to task like never before. And what Biden sees here is he doesn't want, we just said it, he doesn't want the consumers, you and I, to pay the price for this folly. Because guess what? If we stop buying their products, who does that hurt? It hurts the people making the products. It hurts the unions. It hurts the workers, because now they're getting laid off. And then you can go into a recession, right? So Biden is like, no, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to fix this now before you slide off a cliff and take all of my American citizens with you. That's not going to happen. So really and truly, it's good cop, bad cop, with Biden being the good cop. And the potential of alienation of their consumers, and then the wrath of the Democrats who are going to have power, the bad cop. And Biden's going to go in there and knock some heads. They just showed me. So look, I'm channeling. Hopefully this has made sense. Hopefully it hasn't been too meandering. What it means for you is keep your eyes peeled. I would not suggest that you do anything rash right now, meaning, what does rash mean? I wouldn't go out. This is just the advice. You guys have free will. You can do whatever you want. And also, not everybody's situation is the same. If you just won the lottery and you want to go out and buy a private island, that I say, go for it. Go for it. If you want to cash in your 401k, retire, and buy a $5 million house on the coast because you owe it to yourself, I would not suggest that. I would suggest playing small right now, getting your savings account together, getting some emergency money together. Just be small right now, because I'm not sure which way this is going to fall. I'm just not. It really depends on Biden. It depends on the corporate titans. It depends on you and I, and consumer confidence. If things keep coming out in the media about Boeing, people are not going to fly. That's going to cause problems all the way across the board. Not just, think about it. You fly for pleasure, you fly for work. This is a big deal. This is not a small thing. And again, Boeing is jacking with Joe Biden and Joe Biden's economy and Joe Biden's citizens. And you don't do this. You just don't do this. So I'm not sure which way it's going to go. The corporate world is in enough of a death spiral. That's what they just said. They're in a death spiral, a capitalistic driven death spiral. How about that for a whole bunch of words? Capitalistic driven death spiral. And yeah, they can pull out of it. I was just looking, I was seeing a picture of, we go to the air shows, you see the planes that go straight down and then at the last minute they pull out. Well, that's capitalism right now in the United States. And I would also say for you worldwide watchers, this is not lost on Australia. This is not lost on Canada. This is not lost on Europe. They just gave me chills over that. Um, humans, humans are tired of being treated like chattel. They're tired of being treated like crap. They're tired of it. And they're going to just cut everybody off. And that's really a very dramatic way to deal with something. And that's going to cause dramatic effects that may not be good. Like the guides used to say, do you remember when the spirit guides used to say, the cure shouldn't kill the patient? Oh my God, for a long time, they kept saying the cure shouldn't kill the patient. Here we are. The cure shouldn't kill the patient. I really think Biden's going to pull it off. But in the meantime, let's all just sort of tread lightly. Okay. Let's not make any big decisions that would tax your finances. That's what I would say. I mean, I don't want you to be afraid. There's no reason to be afraid. There's a reason to be aware. There's a reason to be cautious. That's very different than being afraid. Afraid causes you to do things that are stupid. We don't want to do that's the opposite of what I'm trying to say here. I'm trying to say keep your wits about you. Be cautious. When this time passes, you're going to get your green light and you're going to be able to go and do whatever it is you want to do. As a matter of fact, the last thing I'll end with is, a lot of you know that I want to leave Texas, not because Texas is Texas, but because I just can't do the heat anymore. And the guides, my spirit guides, are literally like got me by the they're like stopping me. I'm like, I'm going. They're like, no, Susan. I'm like, God dang, man, you're roughhousing me anyway. But that's one way to look at it. That's a dramatic way to look at it. Another way to look at it is, Susan, rents are dropping, house prices are dropping. If you and interest rates are dropping. If you would just be patient, cool your heels, be chill for another 6 months, you would get an amazing deal. Okay, you would get a much better deal all the way around. Maybe it's 3 or 4 months, but I think really it's 5 or 6 months. So just cool your heels. Things are going to work out for you, but you really need to find the right time to do it. If you're trying to buy a house, house prices are coming down for sure, but the interest rates are still high. I think if you can put it off for a few months, you might get lower interest rates and lower house prices. If you're trying to sell your house, I think there's going to be a sweet spot. I do see a housing market problem. I really do. If you're selling. So watch for the sweet spot. Watch for the time when buyers start being interested again and the housing prices are somewhat reasonable. They're not going to be where they were. So just get that out of your mind. The crazy house prices, that's the thing that's going to drop. That's one of the things that's going to drop. So if you bought a house for a crazy house price, and unfortunately you need to sell it, you might have a problem there. Okay. That's why I would say don't do anything rash. Don't buy anything that's overpriced right now because I feel like there's a sale coming. Okay. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Take really, really good care of yourself. Okay. Again, why not? They're free. Just click the little swirly logo, go to my main YouTube page, click on the playlist, click on the WOW Wow playlist, and just watch a video on how to be happy. Why not? Don't you owe it to yourself to be happy? It's free, you guys. I'm not charging you anything. I'm not making any money. I'm trying to freaking help you because I need all of us to raise our vibration so we don't go down the tube, down the drain with 45. Let's not do that. I don't want to do that. I want all of us to come through this smelling like a daisy, not like a rat. Okay? Second time for rats. Anyway, I don't know what's going on with that. Sorry for rats everywhere. You guys take really good care of yourselves. I'll see you again real soon, okay? For entertainment purposes only.